Hello everybody, it's me, Code Choker Looter, signing in for another episode of the channel, and also a brand new curse has been unlocked, the game design curse, thanks to, PactPub, because I have the subscription of PactPub. Therefore, I would like to use the subscription of books and videos as much as possible. Therefore, I'm gonna loot all the code and all the knowledge that this page has at my disposal. With that being said, we have here our game design curse. This is the most updated version of this book, is book edition number 2. And this curse is aimed for people who want to kickstart their own careers or their own hobby as game designers. And if you're an experienced game designer, we're gonna read this. We're gonna read the introduction. This is just gonna be an introduction episode, and then next week we're gonna kick in right into the book with the knowledge and exercises. If they have exercises, that would be awesome, because we could do exercises outside of the scope of this video in order to use those tools and exercises to hone our skills in game design. So without further ado, guys, let's get into game design. The preface. If you're seeking an up-to-date and actionable guide to game design, then you have come to the right place. Immerse yourself in the fundamentals of game design with this book, written by two industry veterans with decades of game design experience across a variety of genres and platforms. This second edition retains the original goal of teaching the basics of game design in a practical manner, but it also adds coverage of some of the most recent trends in game design and a whole lot of new practical examples from games of the current generation. That's good to know. A new chapter on games as a service will explain how the role of the game designer is evolving and will go deeper into the design of games that are meant to be played forever. Starting with learning how to conceptualize a game idea, you will gradually move on to devising a design plan and adapting solutions from existing games. You will discover how to produce original game mechanics and test and eliminate anticipated design risks. You will then learn the basics of level design, interactive storytelling, user experience, and accessibility. Toward the end of this book, you will learn how to wrap up a game ahead of its release date, work through the challenges of designing games as a service and free-to-play games, and understand how to significantly improve game quality through iteration, play testing, and polishing. Who this book is for. Whether you are a student eager to design your very first game or a game designer looking to expand your skill set, this book will help you master the fundamentals of game design across all stages of game development. By focusing on best practices and taking a pragmatic approach, this book provides insights into the art and craft of game design from two senior game designers with insider knowledge. We already read this. Okay. Prior experience in game development is not absolutely necessary. However, a basic knowledge of some popular video games would be helpful. Okay. So this basically is our syllabus. Chapter 1 will be introducing the game production process, explore the basic machinations of the game industry. Chapter 2, preparing a game concept, teaches you about how to write a game concept and your responsibilities as game designer. Chapter 3, scoping a game project, covers the concept and relationships between a game's overall scope, its structure, and its content. We'll explore real-world samples and help you build an understanding of how to better document the size, complexity, and dependencies of your game, as well as help you estimate your tasks. Chapter 4, creating design documentation, explains everything you need to know about writing game design documentation, from the tools and techniques to numerous pieces of practical advice. Chapter 5, Understanding Game Mechanics, approaches the definition of game mechanics and will give you an idea of how to create your own game using pieces from existing games. Chapter 6, Designing Systems and Features, explores the theory behind game design and the creation of mechanics, features, and systems that are fun to play. Chapter 7, Making Prototypes, that demonstrates how to prototype a game idea or concept. This chapter will cover both paper and digital prototyping, with all the pros and cons of both techniques. Chapter 8, Designing Compelling Stories for Games, highlights the importance of narrative elements in games and helps you design strong characters, intriguing worlds, and compelling stories. Chapter 9, The Fundamentals of Level Design, introduces you to processes and techniques used to create highly playable game content. You will learn about creating believable spaces, manipulating light and geometry, and making the best of the available game mechanics. Chapter 10, Creating Characters, explains the different kinds of characters that populate virtual worlds and how to make the best use of them. In this chapter, you will also get a closer look at the practical character design example for an existing game, from which you will be able to get some inspiration to try and do your own character design, a great exercise for any game designer. Chapter 11, Balancing Your Content and Systems, combines the knowledge from previous chapters and explores the ways in which you can space structure and adjust the rules and content of your games to create experiences that capture and hold the interest of your audiences. Chapter 12, Building a Great User Interface and User Experience, outlines the complexities of input mechanics, camera system, and effective game feedback. You will then gain practical insight into the process behind UI and UX design, helping you create interfaces and experiences that are informative, empowering, and delightful to interact with. Chapter 13, Making Your Game Accessible, dives into how to make your games more accessible, that is, easier to use, understand, and relate to. Chapter 14, Mastering Games as a Service, distills the knowledge required to turn your game into a successful service by establishing an update strategy, running events, designing season passes, addressing game balancing, working with analytics, providing customer support, and using the tools required to operate your games sustainably. Chapter 15, Understanding Monetization Techniques, expands on the knowledge from the previous chapter and dives deep into the techniques and knowledge required to thoughtfully, ethically, and effectively monetize your free-to-play games. And Chapter 16, the final 10%, takes you through the processes that need to take place before a game is finally released. You will also read about the difficulties and pitfalls of closing and releasing a video game and how to avoid them. To get more out of this book, we have done our best to explain any industry-specific terms and practices in order to make this book as accessible as possible. The contents of this book require no prior experience in game development, however, a basic knowledge of some people's game. Blah, blah, blah. So if you ever played a Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Elden Ring, Super Mario 3D World, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Hearthstone, Dota 2, and StarCraft, you're good to go. Disclaimer. The screenshots used in this book are for illustrative purposes only. Okay. Get in touch. Here you can get in touch with the people from PactPath. 3, 2, 1. That's it. Share your thoughts. Once you have read Practical Game Design 2nd edition, you have loved to hear your thoughts. Please select review. Okay, in Amazon. Download the free PDF. That's cool. Oh, you can do that. Next chapter. Introducing the game production process. Okay. Welcome to the games industry. It's an ever-changing world where competition is fierce. Publishing platforms and business models come and go. In just a few years, crowdfunding has appeared, peaked, and seemingly vanished. Whole genres of products disappear, only to be revived or reinvented 15 years later. And the big publishers small independent studios, and even streaming services such as Netflix all fight for an ever limited resource: player attention. As game makers, we often give away more and more of our content for free, hoping to monetize users later down the line. At the time of writing, Valve's team still dominates publishing on PC, while Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo keep fighting for their share of the console pie. Despite Nintendo Switch's success and the emergence of Steam Deck, handheld consoles are on the back foot, quickly being replaced by phones and tablets. The mobile industry itself is all but dominated by Google's Play Store and Apple's App Store, and while the mobile market keeps on growing, it has become much harder for small developers to break through and to make a profit. User acquisitions is extremely challenging, really expensive, and a lack of support from the community and platform holders can sink your profitability. Premium paid for mobile games are all but gone, and the most successful products are what we consider freemium or free to play. In this crowded market, games are becoming more and more expensive to make, market, and operate. What worked in 2010 works no more. The best bet for small groups of indie developers is to find success with Steam Early Access or nab a deal with the Epic Game Store. Still, since the introduction of the now defunct Steam Greenlight, the PC gaming market has been packed with countless new titles. According to the data exposed by SteamSpy.com, there were 379 games published on Steam in 2012. By 2021, that number grew to over 10,000. Developers now face a market that's increasingly hit driven, and unless you sit on a billion-dollar brand such as Marvel or Call of Duty, playing it safe is no longer an option. If you do not adapt and innovate quickly enough, you're sure to face commercial failure. As the stakes go higher, teams either balloon out of proportion or grow ever leaner. Now, this reality check might sound a little grim, and make no mistake, while it's very difficult to make a great game, it's even harder to make it successful. But for those who keep on trying, for those who do not hold back and surrender after their first, fifth, or even 10th cancelled or failed game, this industry can offer a uniquely fulfilling and rewarding career. And across all of the different roles, being a game designer could just be the most fulfilling of them all. We'll start this book by delving briefly into the basic imaginations of the game industry, exploring game design, roles and responsibilities, production methods, and the development process. There's a lot to cover, and probably much more exciting stuff to follow. So, are you ready? Let's begin. We will cover the following topics in this chapter: game design roles, development teams, software development models, production schedules and milestones, the role of a game's publisher. Game design roles. Game designers come in all shapes and sizes. We have got generalists that work on everything, as well as highly specialized craftspeople put in charge of a single area or system. Creative leads, on the other hand, often work on a more conceptual level, maintaining a cohesive vision for a game and shaping it through feedback, with typically little to no hands-on involvement. There's no universal distinction, with roles and responsibilities varying between companies and even teams, but game designers can be roughly divided into the following categories. Generalists, these include junior and senior game designers, as well as lead designers and creative directors. A generalist will often take care of or provide feedback on all areas of game design not already covered by someone else on the team. Economy designers, monetization specialists. This is a role very likely to be encountered in the mobile games industry, as nearly all products require someone with expertise in designing and implementing a fitting monetization strategy as well as balancing the in-game economy, from the pace of player progression to the distribution of loot and much more. Level designers. This is often a crossover between a designer and a 3D artist. Some level designers only take care of the gameplay side of the level, while others are capable of delivering a finished stage. Mission content designers. Rather than working on new features and game mechanics, these designers specialize in adding and balancing in-game content, from buildings, vehicles, NPCs, and weapons to quests, puzzles, achievements, and more. Narrative designers. These are tasked with writing, designing, and implementing narrative elements in games. They often work together with level and mission designers, or take the responsibilities to help craft a compelling experience. System designers. This is a catch-all term for all designers that focus on the design of game mechanics, loops, and systems rather than a content creation and balancing. Big game projects will often have a specialist taking care of multiplayer game mode, player progression, or combat. Technical designers. This is a term usually reserved for highly qualified mixtures of a gameplay programmer and a game designer, or used for a game designer empowered by tools and scripting languages. They design and implement new game features and mechanics, be it independently or by bridging the gap between design and programming disciplines. Okay, with a huge variety of responsibilities and studio or game genre based requirements, there is no set list of qualifications or skills you must acquire for any specific role. Job specs vary widely. Some companies expect their designers to script, while others settle for an elaborate design document. You may already know your top skills and passions, but have you considered skills outside your regular interest? We'll dig into that next. Specialization and T-shaping. More specialized positions only make practical sense in a big team or a large company that can support them. Look carefully at the opportunities available to you as well as your interests. If you have another passion, explore it. There's a high chance it will become useful or inspiring. An interest in creative writing and storytelling can lead to a career as a narrative designer. An artistic aptitude and interest in 3D art and world building will naturally lead you towards a level of design. On the opposite side of heavy specialization lies T-shaping. By cross-training and attempting tasks in a variety of different disciplines, you will broaden your skill set and the spectrum of work you can handle. Spending a few hours every week on personal development, be it with a book, for tutorials, or by tinkering on a side project, is a great habit that will help you become more independent, boost your creativity, help you understand the work of your colleagues, and improve your career prospects. Ultimately, your job is not to design the perfect gameplay system and walk away. You are there to help realize the game's potential, turning it into the best possible experience for your players. Sooner or later on a project, you will find an area outside of your core responsibilities that you will like to improve, and often it's much faster and easier to just work on it yourself, rather than create a list of tasks for someone else to eventually, if ever, address. For the record, I am not advising you to be a rogue agent who constantly messes with other people's work and tries to sneak things past the quality assurance team. I am simply encouraging you to be very proactive and seek opportunities to improve things. The difference between good and great is that extra care and attention, which often wasn't planned for and isn't necessarily part of the original specifications. When things are good enough, derating other team members just for a tiny improvement is not warranted or productive. In these situations, a wide skill set can enable you to turn great into excellent. Just make sure to share the changes you have made with others. Leave the surprises for the players, not for your team. A variety of skills will turn you into a more helpful and independent team member. allow you to communicate more effectively with experts from different fields and even improve your creativity. One of the most coveted ones is programming. However daunting it sounds, taking even the most basic scripting courses and tutorials will be hugely beneficial. It will improve your understanding of how games works and perhaps even allow you to create or tweak parts of a game without having to rely on programmers. Just make sure they review your work and decide whether it is up to their standards. When it comes to tools, word processors, spreadsheets, and presentation software are absolutely essential. But don't forget about the powers of whiteboard or pen and paper. Even the most basic drawing can help you clarify your ideas and avoid confusion. On top of that, having a working knowledge of popular games engines such as Unity and Unreal is highly desirable, and both offer plenty of free, easy to follow tutorials. Any generalist should also look into learning 2D and 3D art software, audio and video editing suites, as well as the VFX visual effects editors built into the aforementioned game engines. As for personal growth, beyond tools and game theory, I suggest studying in psychology, especially cognitive science, creative writing, physics, and economics. But remember, you learn most when you're making something and having fun. Focus on something you enjoy or wish you could do. Take things at a manageable pace and stay on the lookout for new tasks and opportunities to jump on. Experiment, stay curious, and don't believe everything you see or hear. Remember, landing a dream job in the game industry is just the first step. If you wish to excel at your craft, you will have to carry on learning. And if practicing your current set of skills is no longer challenging, it's time to consider acquiring new ones. Right, we have hammered home the importance of learning, but even if you can do everything yourself, most of us rarely go out alone. Making games is usually a team effort, and game development teams can differ widely. Let's dive into that next. And with that, we are going to take a pause, take a stop here, and this will be where we stop for now. Next week is going to be chapter 2, and we're going to talk about development teams, hopefully software development models, production schedule, and milestones, and so on and so forth. Maybe we may finish the chapter 1 of the book in the chapter 2, in the part 2 of the course, but who knows? We'll go as we go, okay? So thank you very much, guys. Welcome to the journey of game design. If you like this, please click like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.